We have everyone coming in. Participant numbers are jumping. Just give it a minute for everyone to join us. Thank you so much for coming. I'll wait 30 more seconds because I still see the numbers climbing into triple digits, which is awesome for a Saturday afternoon in September.
They're probably all of Maria's followers, actually. That's why I joined these, honestly, just to steal some of those from her.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Lauren Sauder. I'm one of the Assistant Directors of Admissions here at Rensselaer, and welcome to the Student Life Panel on Medal Day. Typically, we'd love to see you in person. It does look a little different this year. So sorry we can't have you on campus, but we are so thankful that you're here spending your afternoon with us. So we do have panelists here. We'll go through an overview of all of our panelists' departments, what they do here at Rensselaer. We want to give you a robust view of what student life is, even though you can't be here on campus. So the chat is moderated, so feel free to drop your questions in there. I will be looking at your questions and posing them to the panel as well. It is moderated, so I do have to kind of accept it. And just a few logistical items as well. The Slate platform that we use here for webinars does work the best with Firefox and Chrome. We've heard some audio issues happening with Safari and what's the other one? Internet Explorer. Oh, sorry to forget that one, Bill Gates. But Firefox and Chrome are the best web browsers. If audio drops out for anyone, please refresh your page. That is a common fix that we've experienced here with our platform. So please just try to refresh. Chat me if there's more going on. We can try to diagnose that here. But without further ado, I guess I'll pass it to Ben first.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Benjamin Young. I am one of the assistant directors for student activities. I work in the union at RPI. My focus is primarily your programming clubs. We have well over 200 recognized and affiliated clubs through the union. So besides the programming, also the Rensselaer Music Association, and that has a whole bunch of other musical groups, whether it be jazz ensemble, some acapella groups as well kind of fall into that category, and your affinity groups like your GM Week, your Grand Marshal Week, Winter Carnival, different items like that that are more traditional clubs that have a kind of big events depending on the time of the semester, the time of the year. So that's me.
Great. On to Maria.
Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. And congratulations on receiving the Rensselaer Medal. That's a really huge accomplishment. So we're happy that you're here with us this afternoon. Like I said, Maria Roberts from Student Life, specifically Office of First Year Experience. I serve as the Associate Dean in First Year Experience, and I also serve as the Parent Liaison. So if there's any parents watching, I do work with all parents, specifically first year families, but then I kind of serve as that point of contact throughout the rest of your students' time with us. We do have a class dean model at Rensselaer, so students will come in with us with first year experience, starting with orientation. So we work closely with admissions. After should you decide Rensselaer is the place for you, we will start communicating with you about orientation and choosing your classes and choosing your housing and everything that goes into that. So we always look forward to the summers that follow kind of the end of your senior year, so we can start communicating with you much more frequently. And then throughout your first year, we will provide onboarding activities for you. We will be there for all your academic support needs, any kind of intervention. We run several mentoring programs. So if you're in one of our first year introductory courses in calculus, chemistry, or physics, we provide mentors and train and recruit those mentors to serve in those roles so that you can have support throughout your harder courses your first year. So we're just on the panel today. I'm happy to serve in more of a generalist capacity with any kind of first year experience questions, but also anything academic that I can for you. So again, welcome.
Great. On to you.
Hi, I'm Keith Glasser. I am the head baseball coach here at RPI. This academic year will be my third as head coach and my 8th overall. I served as an assistant here for 5 years as well, and in those 5 years, I also worked in the admissions office as an admissions associate as well. So I kind of worked across student life and on both ends of it, in athletics and on the administrative side. So happy to be here, and I look forward to answering a bunch of these questions.
Great. And Shelby.
Hi, everyone, and congratulations. My name is Shelby Robinson. I am one of the assistant deans in our Office of Student Living and Learning, also known as Residence Life. As an assistant dean, I'm one of the pro staff members that oversees some of the residence halls. Currently, I oversee RAPS A, Bar H, and Barden Hall, but there is an assistant dean that oversees like one of the residence halls that you may be in. We also oversee the RAs, our Residential Students Association, also known as RSA, and host programs on the campus and in the halls.
Great, great. Well, I'll try to categorize the questions coming in. We have some good ones. The first one, I guess, could be for Ben. Do we have a chess club?
That's such a good question. I wish I had a list right in front of me. I'll be honest with you. I think we do. But the caveat to that is it really depends on how active the club is. Certain clubs have been sunset because they haven't been active. That just means they kind of have to go back in front of the board, request kind of if it's funding, if it's different, if they just want to be affiliated, that's all changed in the Constitution, of course. But we did have a chess club at one time. They would be one of my clubs if they did happen to be active. So I'm confident that they're not active at this moment. Let me add to that as well too, with like 10 more seconds or so, is that if you were interested either restarting a club or starting a club of your own, there's a certain process for that. So if you don't see it on our website, just go to union.rpi.edu. Very user friendly. If you don't see it on there, there's paperwork, there's information, different tabs you can press on just to figure out how to actually start a club. Email me so I know you get information into this session right here, and I can answer anything specifically for you. Good question.
Great. Absolutely. Next question. Are you able to cook for yourself if you live on campus? And again, another housing related question, is housing difficult to find once it isn't guaranteed? So cooking for yourself, whether it's dining halls, and then housing, how is that like after it's not guaranteed?
Okay. Could be a little bit of a tough question with COVID-19 right now. But so if for cooking for yourself and on campus, for the typical residence halls that are usually over the past few years been used for freshmen, our traditional halls, there are not kitchens in those buildings. There's a small one in a few of them, but not all. So if you are in a residence hall that offers a kitchen that's in the main building, then you can cook for yourself. Most of the residence halls that have kitchens within the rooms are reserved for sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And then is it difficult to find housing once it's not guaranteed? I'm assuming you're talking about if once you're a junior and a senior, if it'll be hard. We typically always have enough housing for juniors and seniors in a normal year. But in regards to housing, there is a lot of off-campus housing available. It was definitely tough this year as our, obviously, I'm sure you've heard about our de-densification of campus and things like that. But if we're back to a normal year, it is fairly easy to find housing off campus. And we also offer an off-campus commons office where their job literally is to help you find a space off campus for you. Good question.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, the next one is regarding Greek life. If you're not involved in Greek life, is it hard to find friends?
I guess it's a mixture of you and me and Ben. I don't believe so. Yes, we have a large Greek life program, and we have a large amount of students. I think about upwards of 300 students involved in Greek life, but that's 300 out of the so many thousands that are here. So it's pretty easy, and you definitely will find friends outside of the Greek organizations.
Great.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Ben?
Absolutely. I can definitely add to that. I think it's more of advice that I want to give. If it's something that you're interested, even the tiniest little bit, whether you're not sure you'll like it or not, give it a try. You're going to find your niche in there. You just got to be able to kind of reach out. We have so many different resources, but I understand too that we also have a lot of students that don't self-identify in terms of, their needs or what they're really, looking to do during their time here. It's our job as advisors, as resources, to give you the best experience possible. So please definitely reach out, whether it's a club, if it's Greek life, if it's athletics, go to FYE, go to admissions, go to somebody that you've actually met here. They can connect you with either a department or a specific person. We're all here to help each other and give you really the best experience possible. So finding a friend, I don't think I've ever seen anyone that didn't have someone that they were hanging out with during my 2.5 years at RPI, to be honest with you. I'll be your friend too.
Great. The next one's a great one for Keith. As answered in the welcome session, the majority of students participate in some form of athletics. How are students able to balance academics and athletics? Great question.
It's a tough one and kind of an open-ended answer, I guess. From a varsity standpoint, we actively recruit, and we're recruiting people who can handle the academic load that we're going to have to, our athletes have to go through. For us, from a baseball standpoint, I think we probably have a little bit of a tougher go of things. We play 40 games in the season. It's not all on the weekends. We play during the week, so we're traveling midweek. We're going and staying overnight in a normal year at places to play. So, we need to have those kids who can handle it. But it's, if you can manage your time, and I think it holds true for anybody at RPI, if you're good at time management, you are going to be able to find yourself successful in that and out of the classroom. There's going to be times where you're going to have to look forward and, study a little bit more on the front end so that, you can allow yourself to be involved in all the different clubs or athletics and things it is that we offer here so that you can still maintain those good grades and be able to walk out of here with a really good degree in 4 years.
Great. Another great question, how is the safety on campus? I guess anyone can kind of take a stab at it. Maybe
I can talk about this. I have been on a couple of different calls with Chief Thomas recently. So Troy's a city, so I'll start with that. We're situated in Troy. So if you've never been to campus before, the streets from downtown Troy upwards to campus are kind of numbered, similar to like New York City structure a little bit. So it's like, you've got your 1st, 2nd, 3rd Street, all the way up. Rensselaer's campus starts at 8th Street, and then the majority of campus, the main kind of drag is 15th Street. So we occupy, several different blocks, several different little neighborhoods, I guess you could say. In 1824, they weren't exactly like gating off a nice little country club for colleges the way that they are now. So we're kind of proud of that history where we have like this intermingled with the Troy community and also like the history that Troy provides, being like a industrial revolution kind of a city. But that being said, it is a city. So depending on where you're from, your perception of safety might be a little bit different. So in first year experience, in partnership with Student Living and Learning and our friends in public safety, we really try to educate students on like just being smart and, things like not walking without a buddy or, at night, if you ever felt unsafe, you could get a ride from public safety. Normally in non-COVID times, we have the Safe Ride program, which is oversaw by Student Living and Learning. And so we're really a safe community. And what we really teach students is more so safe behaviors that anyone would need if they're living in a city, working, learning in a city. But the campus itself, I would say, is very safe. I think it just comes down to your perception based on where you're coming from. But that's kind of the cool thing about all these people from all over the world coming to Troy. Everyone kind of comes from somewhere different. And so we're all kind of learning together, which is why we try to educate you all from the time that you get on campus. Shelby, did you want to add anything? Yeah.
Great. And I see we have Kimberly joining us. Thank you so much, Kimberly. We have a great question. How is the food on campus? Great one to start off with. Great. I know I had the chance to eat in Commons last year. Phenomenal. There was seltzer in the fountain drink station, so I was a happy camper. But yeah, we have a question coming in for Keith. What is the best way to reach out to contact coaches? And then some others are just wondering, if you could just go into the life of a student athlete at Rensselaer.
So the best way to reach out to all of us coaches is to literally just go to the website, the rpiathletics.com website. You'll see under, I believe it's staff directory, is where you'll be able to find everybody's email address. The best way is to really just reach out and introduce yourself and tell us, who you are, where you're from, what you're interested in, and have some maybe questions for us. And if you have video or data or anything it is that you could share with us so that we kind of have an idea of where your skill set is to begin with. The other is we do have every sport has a questionnaire as well. I always point people to it. And one of the biggest reasons I do it for our program is you fill out our questionnaire and it goes into our database. Your database is where you can keep all of your academic information, and I can link all of your video, data, emails, things like that in there so I can continually see our correspondence. And then the big thing that we added last year was that it's compatible with Slate. So now anything that we have athletically, like if we're really recruiting you, we can send all your stuff over to admissions and kind of just let them know that we are recruiting you. And that we don't really have a say in the admissions process. They will, I worked there for 5 years. I know that. But it's just an extra piece of information that they have that we are interested in the student athlete to come here and play for us. What was the second part? Oh, the day in the life. So in season is probably the best part, the best thing to be able to do. For us here at RPI, we do have preferential scheduling for athletes. So when you are going to be in season, you'll be able to schedule your classes earlier than your peers who are not athletes. And the main reason is so that we cut down on missed class time. You can never miss class for practice. But the idea is that we can kind of set your schedule so that our afternoons and evenings are free when we're more than likely going to be practicing and playing. Most teams, and I'll just, basically for mine, we'll practice at 4 o'clock. And then we go about 4 to 6, 3 to 5, depending on the day. We will lift during the course of the year as well. So we have our own strength and conditioning coach. We have a giant staff. We usually have 3 full-time, but we're a little short-staffed right now with COVID. So we'll lift about 45 minutes to an hour. You'll practice. And then you also got to factor in how many classes you have that day. You have to go to the dining halls and eat. You got to study. You have to sleep. There's a lot of things that go into that day. So it can get pretty hectic. I will say for us, it might sound counterintuitive. We have a better GPA in the fall, in the spring than we do in the fall, because in the spring, we manage your time for you. You don't really have a lot of time to kind of not pay attention, not go to class, not go to school. So our guys actually, it's amazing what happens when you can actually study a little bit further out, and all of a sudden you have a 3.5 instead of a 3.0.
Got it. Awesome. So we have questions coming in probably for Ben, just about music, theater, kind of arts options for students who are not pursuing that academically. So, can students participate in those types of activities, even if they're not majoring in music?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Good question. So like I stated in the beginning, part of my groups that I help advise is Rensselaer Music Association. That's, if you understand it more like a tree or not, that's like the umbrella group, if you will. And it kind of is the governing body for groups like jazz ensemble, pep band, percussion ensemble, different items like that. So those are they all have different chairs and a hierarchy within those clubs as well too, and they can definitely give you specifics in terms of some of them have auditions, some of them don't. If you're into theater, we have the players, the RPI players. They're a theater group. They're currently kind of holding off right now because of the situation going on with COVID, but they are very active too. They do a show each semester. They do all the set design, the costumes, everything like that. So if that's something that you're more interested in, or even want to continue, if you've been doing that in high school, you can absolutely do that. There's opportunity for that here. We have 4 different acapella groups too. If that was also something, if you're a lot more musically inclined than I am, absolutely, you should absolutely go ahead and go for that. It's really a great opportunity that I don't think it should probably get more attention. This is not a liberal arts college, as you know, but there's always that opportunity to be a part of these musical kind of inclined groups right here. If that's something you want to do generally, or if you do want to kind of enhance your skills a little bit, there's a lot of different outlets for you.
Great, thank you so much. Some great questions coming in, all related to mental health services on campus and how students can balance their wellness on campus. Maybe from
yeah, I can start with just talking a little bit about the counseling center. So students can access basically full, I'll talk about health overall. So we do have a student health center, and part of that is our counseling center. So students can really get all the health and care that they need right here on campus. And if for some reason that needed to be outsourced, we have great partnerships with Samaritan Hospital, which is essentially on our campus. It's like right next door. And so in terms of mental health care and counseling services, if you are already like seeing somebody at home, depending on their background, you may want to just start seeing someone with us right away, which we can definitely set you up and do that. Our counseling center, we do have a psychiatrist on staff who is amazing. She just started with us this year. And then under that same umbrella, I think we have 2 psychologists, 2 licensed mental health counselors, and 2 social workers. So they kind of have a variety of different backgrounds, depending on who you've worked with in the past. They all are kind of under that umbrella of therapists, if you will. So they just kind of have different educational backgrounds. They can do different things. The psychiatrist can provide prescription medications if that's needed. So we really do try to manage a lot of things in-house. Now, should you get halfway through your first semester and you're like, this is really overwhelming, I would like to talk to somebody about, stress management, things like that. You can certainly start at any time, stop at any time, anything like that. But I would say in my office, that's probably my number 1 referral is like, hey, it seems like you're kind of stressed. Let's like connect with the counseling center. And normally they tend to continue that throughout several years while they're here. And our counseling center is very popular. And I would say over the last few years, we've done a lot of work on campus to reduce stigma around mental health. So I think you'd find it's a very mental health friendly campus, and students are very supportive of each other in terms of seeking that help as well.
Great. And would anyone like to talk about the Mueller Center and just other opportunities to be active on campus that kind of outside of varsity sports?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about the Mueller Center. Mueller Center is part of the Union and also the Playhouse too. So those 3 buildings kind of make up what we call the Union. The Mueller Center is where the gym is located. So you have a lot of your machines, your cardio kind of on that top floor right there. Then below that, you have your weight room, all your free weights, your dumbbells, your racks, different things like that. It's a great opportunity to really, once they kind of get set up, hopefully that'll be in another couple of weeks while they're open again. But that's also where the other assistant directors that work at the Mueller Center that are part of the same team as well. You have your recreation clubs, your outdoor clubs, your club sport clubs, all kind of located generally in that building. Attached to the Mueller Center too is the what is the name of it? It evades me right now. Maria, can you help me out real quick? The Armory. Sorry, thank you, Lauren. Yeah,
Armory.
The Armory. Sorry, I've been too much. Thank you all. The Armory is over there too. That's where the swimming pool is located. Also, a basketball court with a track around it to get some cardio in as well. A lot of the club sports also do their practices there too. I saw track and field. They use that a lot. Basketball, there's different open times. We do host a lot of different events in that space as well, and so does the institution too, if it happens to be a bigger event right there. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, absolutely. So another kind of related questions coming in. What are some of your favorite events or traditions that RPI has here and maybe in the city of Troy? And how do students have fun kind of off campus? if anyone would like to comment on those.
I would say I've been in Troy for a year now. This is my second year at RPI. And really what I enjoyed about Troy and about one of our residence halls is that Blitman Hall is right downtown of Troy. And so it's great to park at Blitman or stop off at Blitman and then walk over to the Troy Farmers Market. And so that's a really big benefit that the Blitman students have, that the Farmers Market, which is huge here, is about a block away. And so you see a lot of students on Saturday morning walking back and forth through there.
Great.
I would say our students really love, they love to support like the hockey games or other athletic events. We try to do a few bigger games throughout the year where they like to come out. And I think that's one of the things where I would say like our clubs and organizations and athletics really come together, like the pep band and things like that. Students get really excited about things, anything that's not their academics, because they're always looking for a distraction from that. So we have a few really fun traditions around like hockey specifically. But I think we're starting to branch off into more supporting other athletic events with bigger events. But I don't know, Ben probably has the most traditions.
I do.
All right.
Yeah, thanks. I'm just gonna put a plug in there for a whole bunch of my my clubs and traditions here. But we have Winter Carnival that happens at the beginning of every spring, typically February, beginning to mid-February or so. Where we just we kind of take over a lot of our students from the Winter Carnival organization. They take over our ECAV, our East Campus Athletic Village, where athletics are located right there, and they're nice enough to let us use their facilities. Where we have a whole bunch of different clubs, like for example, we always like invite the jazz ensemble or another RMA group to kind of provide some of that musical atmosphere. We have had sled dogs in the past, which was really neat. All the students put together a whole bunch of different carnival games. Literally, they have engineered, the school full of engineers have engineered those carnival games for you. You win tickets or a whole bunch of different giveaways, free food, free drink, different things like that. That's one of my favorite ones. There's a lot of work, especially by the students of that organization that go into that right there. And then GM Week is probably my second favorite one too. That's our Grand Marshal, where it kind of culminates with the election of our student government that kind of represents the RPI student body, especially when it refers to that's just a week full of different events. This past year was great because we had our big spring concert that UPAC Concerts put on, and we had AJR that kind of helped kind of put the cherry on top for that too. So that's a lot of different kind of traditions that we do have, and I work with a lot of students in those organizations that kind of keep those traditions alive.
Great. Thank you. And a lot of questions coming in about the roommate selection process, how housing works, and you know, how it's different this year related to COVID. Maybe for Maria and Shelby.
All right, I'm gonna try and put this in a shorter way. It's a lot. Okay, so roommates wise. So in a typical year, sorry, this is Miko.
Hello.
So in a typical school year, we have the StarRes portal. It is an application portal that we would give you access to once you have applied, and it goes through admissions, and we get that information. Then you have access to the StarRes portal. In the portal, you have the option to fill out your information and also answer a ton of questions, like what's your favorite music, your favorite food, are you clean, are you messy, are you noisy, are you quiet, like all types of things there that you can put information out so that we can kind of understand and pairing of roommates. You can choose your own roommate. Everyone's assigned a little number, and you kind of can look at the list of people to see what you like, who you may have something in common with, and you can reach out to them via that portal and choose each other. If you already know someone, like you have your best friend from home and you're both coming, as soon as you know each other's code, you can request each other that way. And if you don't request a roommate at all, we will choose for you, but we do try to pair you with a roommate who is a 70% compatibility or higher. And so that's awesome. In regards to the differences between that and with COVID-19, we definitely had to be much more careful in regards to placement. So we did not have the application open for this past school year, and we did just choose roommates. We still try to consider locations and a couple of things that we knew about students to kind of find commonalities, but we did have to choose 4 students this past summer, but we hope to not have to do that again next summer, and that we can get back to students finding their roommates, because it's a part of the experience. Other things in regards to residence halls and the differences. This year, we do not allow guests. I'm assuming you know why we're not allowing guests this year. Typically, guests are allowed for students to have. They can have their friends come over and come visit. They can have their families come visit. And that obviously has changed this year. Some of the biggest changes is really the social distancing, the masks, the not having masks, not having guests. Because that does a bit take away from the experience of what you want to have and hanging out with your friends in your room. We definitely are really crossing our fingers that we can get back to kind of having that more typical like residence hall experience that you have in your mind for next year. Did I miss anything?
I think that was great. A couple of questions, just if students aren't going to participate in varsity sports, can everyone talk about club and intramural sports on campus? Probably Keith and Ben combined, maybe. Clubs and intramurals. Oh, I think you're muted, Keith. There we go.
You'd think I'd have this figured out by now. We do have a number of club sports. I know we have club baseball, there's basketball, soccer, I believe there's lacrosse. There's a lot of club sports out there. I think the biggest attraction to the club sports for people, there's not really a huge time commitment, but you still get to compete because you will go play other schools. There is a little bit of travel. And then intramurals is completely separate. I believe that there's 3 different levels. I could be wrong, but I think there's differing levels. But you have all the regular intramural sports. I won't go off on it because I don't know Jen would probably be the best. But you still get to compete, but you can compete with your friends. And then there's a lot more that people get really, really, really involved in intramural sports, and they really, really want to win. Because I know some of my guys they play football, I think, and they're usually more excited about that than anything else.
That's awesome. And do you know if we have women's club hockey, or is it just varsity hockey? I know we have intramural hockey. I think that's where like the D-level hockey is. If you've never skated before, you can try it out. So I think that might be for men and women. Great. Just trying to see here. There's so many great questions, and I just put a plug in the chat box here. So we do have to conclude in just about 12 minutes. We do have student ambassadors, about 30 of them, answering our email account, admambassadors@rpi.edu. So a quick plug for that I put in the chat. Is there ethnic food available in Troy, like grocery stores on or off campus? Great one for Kim. Either one. I think maybe in the city of Troy too, or outside.
A lot of the students will go to the Asian food market in Albany. That's pretty popular. Yeah. Nice. So there is one, but they kind of travel over there usually in groups, either with their clubs or in friend groups.
Great. A great question. What activities are there during winter when we can't be outside? That's a great question for folks who might not even have winter where they're from.
What do you mean can't be outside?
That's true. The outing club.
Ben already talked about Winter Carnival, but do you want to talk about that? We're always outside.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're coming to New York, you got to expect it, I think, right? You could practice your driving skills. That's a fun sport to do in New York during the winter time. I don't know. I mean, just, make the most of your time. If you really aren't used to the winter, like I treat it as a badge of honor coming from New York, especially you know what I mean, living through these winters. And I'm an old man, so there's been many winters I've spent here. Yeah, besides Winter Carnival, which a lot of it is inside, ironically, there you have the outing club. I know every so often they will take trips. I've heard of snowshoeing trips. We have a ski club as well too that you could absolutely join. There's certain fees that come with these, obviously, depending on the sport or the type of activity you're doing. A lot of different outing clubs and recreation clubs that we have through our Mueller Center, and those assistant directors over there that kind of take you through the process. Yeah, we're working on a whole bunch of different programming. We understand that this winter, we'll see what happens, but a lot of it is virtual programming. If you really didn't want to go outside, especially during the wintertime too, we are creating a lot of virtual programming, primarily throughout our clubs, but also through our administration office too, to hopefully kind of keep you all engaged. But yeah, get outside, build a snowman, have snowball fights, just don't break any windows.
Exactly. Great. And Shelby, you probably touched on this a little bit earlier, but just reiterating the freshman roommate process, can you choose to live with a roommate? How much control do freshmen have when choosing their roommates?
In a typical school year, you have full control over choosing your roommate. We let you know pretty ahead of time, usually January, February, where is like our goal of trying to have all of it worked out so we can get that all information out to you. And so you will have the option in the portal to choose whoever you like as your roommate. And it's just really where, as long as you get an application early and going through it and fill it out, and put your information out there, you'll find someone who may have something in common who will reach out to you and message you through the portal.
Great. This is getting back to classes. So when scheduling classes, what is an average weekly schedule like? How much of the time placement do we get to choose when scheduling our classes? Maybe Maria would know a little bit.
Yeah, what was the first part? I'm sorry.
Scheduling classes, what is an average weekly schedule like?
Oh, okay.
How much do you get to choose?
Yeah, so it definitely depends on your major, but I would say the majority of students have, our classes are typically 4 credits, which means we have them for around 2 hours each class, 2 times a week. So let's say you're in Calc 1, you might have a lecture on Monday and Thursday, and then you might have additional mentoring hours associated with that, but your primary class would be Mondays and Thursdays, and then maybe you have chem on Tuesdays and Fridays. And Wednesdays is kind of free for your labs. So you probably have 2 classes on Monday, 2 classes each day except for Wednesday, and then you'd have mostly free for labs and exam blocks. Those 3 big first-year classes that I mentioned, calculus, chemistry, and physics, all level 1, by the way. So if you're bringing in a lot of AP, you may skip all this, which is fine. We only accept 5s on the AP exams for calc, but just a side note. But if you're in any of those classes, you're going to have additional mentoring, but you're also going to take your exams kind of in one big pool. So you'll all take them at, say, like 7 p.m. on Wednesday, instead of taking it in your individual classes, because we can't have exam time taking up lecture time. We need all that time to learn. So we have to make sure you have enough hours. So it's not like high school where you're just going to take your exam in your class. You would take it all at the same time. But that would be a typical week. And then if you're participating in anything, be it athletics, obviously, they try to wrap you up by like mid-afternoon. So you can do your, this is a vast generalization, but your practices in the later afternoon, evening. And same with clubs. Clubs tend to meet in the evenings. Students tend to schedule their meal time around their schedule too. So we want to make sure, like right now, because it's COVID times, we're having students reserve their dining hall time. So you may want to be like, well, I have a 12 o'clock lunch reservation at Sage, and then I'm going to go to my 1:30 chemistry lecture. So that might be kind of a typical day.
Awesome. Great. We have a good question about volunteer opportunities for students and what those might look like within clubs and organizations or just around campus in general, volunteer opportunities.
Yeah, I can definitely hit on that. So the good thing is we do have another assistant director, Dr. Micaiah Yehuda, who works in the same department that I do. His part of his clubs are, besides the multicultural and special interest clubs, some of those are those volunteer opportunities right there. So Habitat for Humanity is one that definitely comes off the top of my head. APO, they do a lot of volunteer work as well. Big Brothers Big Sisters are also a couple of organizations that we do have within within the union as well too. I can't tell you specifically what it's looking like right now because of the situation that we're in, but there's definitely an opportunity to, if you're interested in volunteerism or even service learning for that matter, there's always opportunities through the union and through our different clubs to really kind of get involved. And volunteerism isn't just limited to these special organizations right here. There's volunteer work within the institution, with outside the institution. It doesn't have to be even directly related to one of those other kind of specific titles right there too. I think that's something that's definitely important. If it's important to you, please get out there. Ton of resources for you.
Great, thank you. We had great questions about, are there bike lanes on campus and public transportation getting around campus? People are wondering.
So there are.
Yeah, we don't have bike. Oh, go ahead.
There are bike lanes around the campus, and we in some of our residence halls offer bike rooms as well for you to put your bikes up, or there are bike racks outside of it. And we have our shuttles, our campus shuttles that go around the campus from all of our residence halls to like Walmart, to the downtown area, back up to campus and around. And then also our public buses also stop on campus as well. So you have a few options in regards to transportation.
Yeah, the only other thing I would add is we do, if you didn't want to bring your own bike, if you don't have your own bike or whatever, we have Flying from California or whatnot. We have the CDPHP cycle program on campus, which is a collaboration between our insurance company that we work with and the CDTA. So they put, you've probably seen bike shares before, maybe in your community. So we have one of those, and that's free to students to sign up. And they typically would come to campus a couple times each semester just to show the students how to sign up, how to get involved with the bikes. But a lot of students do ride those bikes all around campus. I would recommend staying on the flat side. A lot of students would drive them downtown and then be like, oh, I can't get this back up because it's a hill this steep. So that's just something funny I've seen, but they do use the bikes a lot. And it's a very bike friendly community. I saw someone else asking about cycling, which we do have if you're more like in a competitive biker mode, but that's more on like the club sport side. But just recreationally, biking is very popular.
Great. This is a great one for varsity sports. When do I need to decide if I want to do varsity sports? I'm considering it. And if you could just repeat where that questionnaire can be found, Keith, on the website.
Yep. You really don't have to decide right away. I think it's something that pretty much all of our sports have tryouts here as well. So even if you're on the fence about it now, and then you decide, you're coming and it's the summer and you're like, hey, I really want to play baseball. All you got to do again is just reach out to me and I'll get you the paperwork that you'll have to fill out. And it's really just all medical stuff to make sure that you are medically okay to be able to play. And then we'll give you a tryout. And I know a lot of sports do that, not just us. And the questionnaire can be found when you go to under, usually at the top, if there's a headline, the header, it'll say the sport. Like for us, it says baseball. And then it says roster, schedule, stats, coaches, more. If you go to more, usually in there, you'll see recruiting form. And you just fill that out. It'll pop up and it brings you. It just populates the just the required stuff that you'll have to do. It's pretty lengthy. You don't have to fill it all out, but as long as you have the required stuff, just so we have an idea of where you are, where you're from, those things like that. That way we can we keep you in the loop. We'll email you, send you stuff in the mail, all that good stuff.
Great. And a great question coming off that. Do students pay admission for games and events on campus?
Only hockey.
Okay.
But hockey is, with your student ID, I think the tickets are only like $4 maybe. I'm not 100% sure. But that's the only, men's hockey is the only sport that you pay for to get in.
Yeah, and students can get like first rights to the season tickets, which I think they can get for like $75. It's a deal.
Great. A good question. Just asking us to comment on the inclusivity at RPI and the overall climate here on campus. Social climate, inclusivity, what kind of groups we have available for that as well.
I could start off the answer. As I stated, we do have an assistant director that is advisor to a lot of the multicultural special interest groups and the volunteerism. To some of the items I can think about is regarding inclusivity is we have our Lavender Lounge, which was just renovated in our second floor of our union. Kind of in the corner, but it's a beautiful, beautiful space. We also have the multicultural lounge too. That's kind of kitty corner of that, if you will. So those are definitely two spaces that are specifically related to being inclusive to certain groups on campus. We have religious groups, special interest groups, everybody in terms of, I'm just speaking on behalf of the union here too. If there's something that you happen to, a group that you happen to fall into, if you happen to be interested in, if it's something that you just want to talk about, there's so many different opportunities for you to really be a part or a member, in fact, and it really is up to you in terms of how you identify the type of devotion or the type of time that you actually want to put into that. There's always someone that you can reach out to. And to close out, I think my thought right here too, please reach out to really any one of us or any professional staff that you may come across. Because if I don't know the answer, I'm sure Maria does, or Lauren does, or Keith, or Shelby, or Kimberly has it right there. We'll definitely put you in contact with someone that maybe would be able to get you either close to that answer or that specific answer itself.
Great, thank you. And coming in on kind of the last questions here, how are the resources at Folsom Library and what do students utilize the library for? How accessible is it?
I can just speak to that a little bit. I would say our students utilize a number of different study spaces, and for some students, the library might be their favorite. Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but the tea, what's it called? The tea place is in the library. Argo tea, yeah, thank you. So there is like a little dining area in there as well. So a lot of students will stop there for, you know, a tea or coffee during their day. A lot of our mentoring groups and drop-in tutoring in a traditional in-person year would be meeting over there. So students definitely come in contact with the library, whether it be kind of on their own accord as part of a class or stumbling in for, you know, a coffee or something like that. The resources over there are incredible. This is not a school that is going to prioritize, you know, you taking English Lit, for example, but they are going to expect a really good research paper for the classes that we expect you to write. So I would highly recommend using the resources for finding sources for your paper or project. They also house a lot of really fascinating archives associated with the Institute. So anything that's like historical, you know, documents or just like cool things that have happened, photos, like they store all of that stuff. So Folsom is a really like historical place. I would also say the students really rave about the sunsets there because it does face downtown Troy, and I've always seen they get really nice pictures over there, and they find it relaxing to kind of study by the window. But I would say where students choose to study is really personal preference. The union's also very popular. A random table is also very popular, but it really depends on the student. But the students do like the library, and it is open in a normal year, like I said, very late hours, if not 24/7 card access.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, we are coming up on time. Thank you, everyone, for your amazing questions. And thanks to our panelists today offering a robust glimpse into student life here at Rensselaer. We do have social media, so please follow us on Instagram. We have student takeovers happening. We have some of our panelists here have taken over Instagram in the past. I actually have one near Halloween, so please follow us. We're trying to get to 3,000 followers. We have a lot of great content there as well to also offer the student side of Rensselaer education. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, and we have a very robust offering on YouTube. We record webinars, and we have a series of spring and summer webinars. So please follow us on YouTube as well. But in the essence of time, I want to thank everyone again for taking some time out of this sunny afternoon to spend with us here at Rensselaer. Again, our contact information is on the website. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any one of us. We are happy to help. And congratulations on the Medalist Award. We really look forward to hopefully seeing you on campus soon. But that's it for today. Signing off, everyone. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Stay safe and stay well.